Good day. Welcome to the Musicians' Musings with David Pell. I'll be talking to the various members of the creative community here in lovely Topsail Island, North Carolina. As well, I will discuss how the arts has impacted people's lives and careers. So have a sit down and just see what's shaking here on the island. Thank you for joining us today. I'm David Pell, owner of Cat's Imagination and the founder of A Taste of Guitar, a local musical event that happens up here in the Hampstead area. And today, joining me is Skylar and Nat Smith. Skylar is a guitar student of mine who's been studying with me for about 4 years. And I just want to talk to him and his dad about music in general. Skylar, how did you get started playing guitar?
I went over to one of my friend's house one day, and there was a guitar that I saw way up on the top of the closet, and I climbed all the way up and got it down. And I ended up, instead of going outside and playing with him like I was supposed to, I ended up playing the guitar the whole entire day inside of his house. And his mom ended up telling my dad that I didn't go outside once the whole time and played the guitar the whole time. And then my dad bought me a guitar.
So was the guitar, was it in tune?
No.
It was just laying there, just
Yeah.
and you just banged on it and banged on it
Mm-hmm.
just to get started. Now, Nat, when he came home and told you that story, well, he didn't tell you the story, right?
No.
How did you find out?
The other mother called me and was pretty shocked because Skylar's always outside, and so she said that he just wouldn't put it down, and so he was at the age where it was a good time to start something. He was 8 years old, so I thought, well, if he's got an interest in this, I'll pursue it. So I went and bought a guitar, I think the next day, and I put an ad in the paper for a teacher.
Right. And so most parents, whenever they hear the child say, hey, I want to start a musical instrument, regardless of what the instrument is, they have some reluctance or some hesitation at first. Was that a normal thing for you at first?
No, it was so unusual for him to stay inside and play something because he's outside all the time. So the fact that he stayed inside like that and played the guitar meant that he had some connection, and so because of that, I thought it was a good idea.
So now you have music in the house because Skylar's now been playing guitar for 4 years. What was it like before you really started playing the guitar, and what's it like now?
It was quieter. Actually, it gave some structure to his day outside of his normal playing. We had started tennis a couple years before that, which he's very interested in, but we never had a sort of formal practice time where he was doing something without me, and so he had to incorporate a small practice every day into his day in order to keep taking lessons. And so that sort of changed his day in a small way, in that it had some structure now and had a little bit of discipline.
Mm-hmm. So Skylar, now, at the beginning, let's talk about when you first started playing guitar and your dad bought you your first guitar. What did you think about all that at that time?
Well, I thought it was pretty cool, and I wasn't really sure if I would get. I sort of at first didn't have like a ton of discipline to practice and do other things to get good at it, so I was doing real short practices and all. But I don't know, it was I just sort of liked it when I started practicing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like it is now.
Right. And talking a little bit about your background and practice, Nat, you're a former tennis pro, so you're used to practicing tennis on a regular basis. Can you talk about, I know parents always want to talk about how do you get your child to practice. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about how you started that in the early days?
Well, I taught a little bit of tennis in another life, and I was never very good, but I practiced a lot. And so I knew that to get better at something, you definitely had to work at it. And so it was sort of like boiling a frog. I just started things really slowly. and made him practice 5 or 10 minutes a day. And then before he knew it, I had him at 30 minutes a day, and it became a habit where it wasn't a burden to him.
Mm-hmm.
Because as long as he was that interested in guitar, and he seemed to have a great facility for it and seemed to be able to hold it and as if he had always held a guitar.
Right.
And so since he liked it that much and was starting already to make his own music, we just gradually got him into a routine where it's just part of the day, like brushing the teeth now.
Right. So in the early days, though, because I know all parents ask me whenever I start a brand new student, they always ask me about practice time and how much they should push and whatnot. Did you at the very beginning really have to push him on that the beginning regimen, and then at some point he took over and you didn't have to remind him anymore to practice?
I still have to remind him, but he's never minded. He's never minded playing because he likes guitar so much that he's never objected to practicing or felt like it was a burden. But it's something that I usually have to tell him. Although he'll go on a sleepover and he'll get up at 6:30 in the morning to practice guitar so that he can have the whole day with his friend, which is his own doing. So he's now created his own self-discipline just from the routine. But we never made it a burden, and we always tried to keep it fun, and I never pushed him to the point, and that's why early on we just did really small practices, because if we had gone to an hour at first, it would have seemed like a chore, and I think the instrument would not have been fun for him.
So you just did like 5 minutes at the beginning, and just slowly added a minute here and there, where it became more time.
Yep.
And I think that's a real key, because what I tell a lot of the parents with beginner students is, and the student as well, that 5 minutes a day is great at the beginning, because there's so much involved that you have to overcome to play guitar that a lot of people don't realize, and that over time those minutes will build up. And even if you do like 5 minutes 2 or 3 times a day and it's spread out morning, noon, and night, granted that may be 15 minutes or a half hour for the day, but it wasn't all concentrated back to back. So I think that's a real key thing to bring out. Now, with Skylar, tell me, has your interest in guitar been spiked really high and then kind of go down, and you weren't interested, or have you always been steady with the guitar as far as your interest goes?
Well, when I first started, I sort of didn't want to practice as much. I didn't really like it as much. But once I started getting better, it started going up more. I started liking it more because I could do more things on the guitar.
So whenever you were frustrated, was it because you couldn't do things on the guitar, or was it just because of maybe what the teacher was giving you at the time to practice, and you just didn't like that?
No, I think it was probably just that I wasn't playing. I would listen to stuff, guitar songs, and they'd sound sort of cooler than what I was doing, but I wasn't good enough to play that stuff yet, and so it wasn't as interesting. Okay,
so you were frustrated because of your skill level at that point. You were wanting to accomplish more, and you weren't able at that point in time to get there. You still feel that today, 4 years later?
No.
So you don't hear stuff that you think you can get. You hear stuff that so you can play pretty much anything now. So you're trying to say?
I'm not sure, but
I don't think he's trying to say that.
No, you're not trying to say that. But no, I understand your frustration. Everybody goes through that at the beginning, and we have plateaus where we hit a certain skill level, and then we have to break through that wall. So that's good, man. That sounds like you've worked hard at doing things to get here. And what's interesting about Skylar, he's released a CD of original compositions. It's called Magical Sounds, and you wrote all these songs on here. Is that right?
Yes.
On your CD, and these CDs are available locally in the region at Sully's Deli, the Smokehouse, Art Exposure, and at Shop Across Street, which is up in Sneed's Ferry, to cover this region. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a break and have Skylar come back and talk to us about some of the songs on the CD. And this is going to be fun. I look forward to hearing you.
An goes on, and I do.